Welcome everyone back to Mr. Weather Update. So today I'm looking at the live radar and also have a look at UKV, have a look at the temperatures for the next 5 days and the temperatures using the GFS, ECM and Met Office UO1 ensemble for the next couple of weeks. We'll have a look at that and see how this heatwave is progressing, how long it will take, and if there's a sign of a change in mid-July. Because there's signs for quite a lengthy heat wave to last at least for 7 days. I think it's already started technically in London and the southeast, but we'll be spreading north with the heat, and we'll get some more heat wave thresholds. With perhaps a sign of a change later in 10 days, perhaps more unsettled spell, more close to average, but I can't say that very confidently because it's not really showing up on the charts yet, so I can tell you when that is going to happen when it shows up properly. But for now, we'll go for this week and how this heat wave is progressing for this week. Okay, so let's have a look at first we'll have a look at the live radar to see what the temperatures, rainfall's doing now. You can see there's a huge band of rain pushing in the northwestern England. So winds are moving in the northwesterly direction. So that's going to push that way, I think. So it's going to go into areas such as southern Scotland, Cumbria, perhaps somewhere in North Yorkshire area as well. So quite an unsettled day for the north. There's another band of rain as well for Scotland. Just behind that, again, that's going to push right into Scotland. Again, another unsettled day for them. Today. So quite a lot of rain for them, unfortunately. But again, there's not really much rain really talk about in Scotland. Maybe the odd drizzle patches, but definitely not too much to talk about in terms of rain in the south, as you can see. So still in like drought-like conditions, at least for a couple of weeks now. So let's have a look at the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperatures for the next 5 days. You can see again we've got that same band of rain. Oops, no, we haven't. Let's smooth that again. Same band of rain pushing in to a westerly direction, and you can see it's going to be persistent rain all day for Scotland, perhaps even heavy at times in the Scottish hills there. It'll be widely cloudy though in England, more settled but a bit cloudy, a bit grim. Over to Monday, I just skipped it by accident, there we go. We still have persistent rain, not as persistent and as big as today's, so gradually starting to get more settled there, but still got quite a few unsettled days to come with quite persistent as well. But that will fizzle out throughout the day. On to Tuesday, you can see the heat does start to build. You can see a bit more clear in most of England, but still hanging on for that rain in Scotland. It's only going to take, I think, midweek where it does start to fill out a little bit. So as we get to Wednesday, it does start to get a lot less unsettled in the north. We are nearly no cloud in the sky, obviously, unless you're obviously not in Scotland. There's a little bit of cloud there, but widely nice, clear conditions. And then over to Thursday, very similar. Maybe a bit more cloud around into Scotland, because it's not moved as north, but still very pleasant conditions in the south and the east of England. Let's have a look at temperatures. So yesterday it got to about 29.3 as our highest temperature. So it's a little, I think it was undoing it just a little bit, was the UKV. So let's have a look at the temperatures for Sunday. You can see it's going to be very similar, if not slightly hotter, warmer, sorry, should I say, today. So we're likely, what does stay still? So the temperatures here. We are still in the mid to low teens in Scotland, low 20s in the north, and in the rest of England, you can see, let's have a look, in the south of England, we are starting to get some more heat wave thresholds, so widely in the mid to high 20s, so 28, we could even see 29 or 30 Celsius there in the London area. If we have a look to Monday, you can see that heat does start to really build actually. You can see we're now widely into the high 20s at the low 30s in the south. We're still hanging on to the cooler conditions, so still low 20s, high teens in Scotland, perhaps even mid-teens in some areas, but just gradually start to get higher. But in the southeast, you can see low 30s, so you can see 31, 32 Celsius as possible, which will mark the second day of the heat wave, well, first day for most areas, so quite hot for some areas there. If we have a look for Tuesday, again, very similar conditions, actually. And you can see that it does start to get noticeably warmer as we go along the days for Scotland and Northern England. So we can say Scotland, high teens, perhaps even low 20s starting to show. So 21 degrees there. Northern England, we start to see low, perhaps even mid 20s. More likely if you go eastern areas though. And rest of England, high 20s, low 30s. So we could still see 32 Celsius in some areas there. Now let's have a look on to. Yeah, it's Wednesday. Wednesday, this probably will be one of the hottest days of the week so far. We are now into the low to mid 20s in Scotland, and in Northern England, perhaps even high 20s in some areas in Northern England. And then into the rest of the areas, we're widely into the low, perhaps even mid 30s. So widely 33, perhaps even a local isolated 34 Celsius. So definitely quite hot actually for the south there. Nowhere near as hot as the last heat wave, but it's still quite hot. The time of the year is 34 Celsius. And then having a look at, what is this, Thursday. Let's skeptical about these temperatures really. It could be, we'll see. But still we're going to see about, in Scotland, low to mid 20s. Same in England, in Northern England, low to mid 20s, perhaps high 20s in some areas. In the southern areas, perhaps way closer to the continent, we're likely to see widely 33 Celsius, 34. We can't even rule out an isolated 35 Celsius in some areas in London. So quite hot actually, exceptionally hot for some areas. 35 Celsius is quite rare these days, but obviously we definitely are getting them quite common. We have seen it in May. We saw it 3 consecutive days for June. Now we're seeing it possibly again this week. So, you know, it's quite ridiculous how many times we've seen mid-30s this summer, really. Even in spring, actually. I don't think it's going to get as hot, you know, it's not going to get hotter than this, though. You can see that hotter in the continent. I don't think that's going to move up, in my opinion. I think the highest temperature we're going to see is somewhere in the low to mid-30s, most likely. Really, really quickly, let's have a look at the Cape levels, see if there's any thundery activity going on at the end of the week. If this will let me, why does this not want to let me? There we go. Okay, so you can see there's a sign of thundery activity towards the end of the week. You can see some Cape gathering in the southwestern England. That could build up throughout the week. Could see some thundery breakdowns probably in the weekend, hopefully, which is the most likely happening after this week actually, which we'll have a look at that as well. So let's have a look at the GFS. This is the 0Z. We can see that high pressure building in from the south. Low pressure still will hang around to the north at times, but that will build in from the south throughout the week. Most likely becoming more prominent into midweek. We could still see some thundery breakdowns though. It's not really that high pressure though. If you have a look at the pressure patterns, you can see it's around what is said on the UKV actually. Very similar, if not quite hot actually, in some areas. I'm not too sure if that's going to come off. It's sceptical about that. I think it's got, again, I think it's going to be more mid-30s and, you know, them values there. But still, high pressure is going to emerge, bringing some very settled conditions, perhaps even thundery conditions at times. Let me just reset this, I don't know what's happened to it. There we go. Coming from the south. So I think, but as we get into the end of the week, we have got a bit of a thundery breakdown going on there, a bit of a trough going on there. I don't know if you've noticed, there's like in between weather patterns, like there's high pressure to the west of us and we've got low pressures on us actually, so that is a perfect setup for thundery breakdowns. So the GFS is, it's suggesting this high pressure to continue for quite a long time really, up to 23rd, but it could, some other models like the ECM is saying it wants to be a breakdown after July the 13th. So we'll have to watch what happens there. If I have a look at the Cape patterns, so the general Cape patterns for that week, let's have a look. We are most likely to see some thunder activity around maybe Thursday. There's some reds popping out there. Weekend, we've got a little bit of activity actually, a little bit of activity in Lincolnshire area, perhaps even East Yorkshire. So could see some thunderstorms break out there, but I don't. There could be some more if there is some Atlantic features going on. Okay, so let's have a look at the ECM. Again, we've got the high pressure building from the south. Could be a supply some hot weather. I think this is the less optimistic one about the hot weather, really. We've got high pressure centered on to us, so could centered onto us there. Again, we are at risk of seeing a thunder breakdown at the end of the week, especially at this stage here. We have got some low pressure patterns showing up at next week at the 13th, where we have a bit of a trough going on as well. So that's like a thundery trough where we're in between these weather patterns. We could see some long spells. Well, we could see some thunderstorms, perhaps even some showers, long spells of rain in that type of weather pattern. So much needed rain, really, if I'm being honest. Not just the north, but hopefully the south as well. Have a look at the temperatures at 858 we are most likely in the mid to late teens. We are squeaking at 20 Celsius there, though. And some areas, some point this week. So could see, again, low to mid 30s is the most likely. I think the highest temperature we're going to see is like 34, 35 Celsius. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near as high as that, though. Okay, looking at the UK Met Euro one, again, high pressure bills to the south. We do see, again, then we'll see like a trough forming at the end of the week. Again, that could supply some thundery weather at times. We have got a low pressure system there to the Atlantic that could alter patterns as well. If I put up temperatures at 8 for shaping again, it's going for quite hot outcomes here. Does the Met Office? So the hottest it will get was around end of the week before the thundery trough comes, and that's going to be let's have a look. So most likely low 20s, most likely. So 21 degrees at 850 HPA, which is around mid 30s. So we'll have to watch out and see how this grows. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.